Hi, wanting to talk to you about games that you may not have seen. There's a designer, he's one of my favourite designers, Simon Washbourne, and he did this amazing thing, Barbarians of Lemuria. Barbarians of Lemuria is inspired by swords and sorcery literature, specifically that rather than, what would you call it, high fantasy. So, think Conan the Barbarian, think Krull. Sword-waving guys plunging in there against, terrible horrors where magic is usually the thing you are fighting against. It's not a tool that you can pull off a list and help you bash up more things. So, Barbarians of Lemuria. It comes in several different volumes. You'll find it on drivethrurpg.com. There are different takes on the game. This is the most recent one. This is the Mythic Edition. Differs from earlier ones only in that it's got different artwork and so on, and there's a slight change to the way the characteristics work. All the other versions of the game are fine. It has also been adapted into some other settings, so there's like Barbarians of the Apocalypse and so on. All of these are worthwhile, and they're worthwhile because it's incredibly clever game design. So what we've got is very simple characteristics. So you just got strength, agility, mind, and appeal. When you're designing a character, you've got some points to split up between just those, and because it is a game of bashing monsters and fighting dread things, there are some combat abilities as well. So you'll get initiative, melee, ranged, and defense. Again, you'll take points and you'll split them between those. The game mechanism runs off good old bell curve. 2 6-sided dice. What you're trying to do is roll those 2 dice. You add in an attribute bonus that counts towards whatever you're doing. If I'm trying to do something that involves swiftness, obviously I'll use my agility. If I'm trying to do something brawny, I'll use strength. If I'm trying to nut out a terrible problem, then mind will be the thing. But you're rolling 2 dice, adding the number that you put into the characteristic to the roll, and you're trying to get a 9 or higher. If it's combat, you're going to also add in your combat bonus for whatever it is, melee, ranged, what have you. The other guy might be putting in some defense to try and stop you. Armor is not that important, because steely-thewed swords often don't wear much, so you can wear it, but it kind of slows you down and does things. So you're just as good in your furry boots and your loincloth as you are wandering around in armor. And very, very simple. You can then leap in there and look for flaws, and you can take boons, which get your character extra color. There are lots of different regions that you can come from in this Lemuria setting. All of those color your character as well. So you can be a barbarian from this area or a pirate from here. Some of these places have particular religious beliefs, attaches to all sorts of gods. There are lots and lots of detail on the world in here, but it's kept simple so you can plunge straight in. You don't have to be human, which makes this substantially different from most sword and sorcery. Most sword and sorcery is human-centric. They are human races, but you can choose to be some kind of sorcery-tainted creatures. There's like very large, gigantic sort of blue humanoids. You also get these happy-go-lucky guys, so there are some variants that you can take, and you just plunge into this very Conan-esque world. There is a stream of gods, good, bad, and indifferent. You might be worshipping some careless god, or it might be some hideous thing that wants you to reap souls. Wouldn't suggest that if you're a hero. It's a city-state sort of setting, lots of city-states spread out across a huge world, so you can wander into places analogous to India or analogous to sort of ancient Egypt, or the more kind of Conan-esque, I don't know what that is, settings that he's always in. There's some kind of dinosaur-like creatures wandering around, big bestiary of creatures. Magic is normally an obstacle. It's a terrifying thing you're fighting against. bad guys are usually magicians who have raised the dead, used magic to take over the minds of rulers so they can rule from behind the throne. So with that said, they give you the option, if you want to run a magic using character, you can, but it's not D&D. These are spells. They take sacrifice and they take immense preparation, so that what you're going to be doing more likely than throwing a spell is you're going to research it. There's going to be a set time when you can cast it due to the prognostications you made. There may be some personal sacrifice you have to give up. You might have to wound yourself, or you might have to starve yourself, or you might have to sacrifice things. It's not something that's done lightly, swiftly, and easily the way it is in D&D. You've got some really nice little setting details here, so that you can roam about and play. Treasure and so on is nicely sort of abstracted. You get a ton of treasure and you basically burn it, and it gets you fortune, experience, and glory. One of the truly clever things about this system is skills. What you do is you pick backgrounds, and everything's just in these very simple points like your characteristics, where you're only putting 1 or 2 or 3 points into a characteristic. You get just a few points, or probably about 4, when you start the game, and you put them into careers, things that you've done. So you might say, my character, I want to have been a pirate, and I'm putting all my points into pirate. That's what I've been. Someone else might say, well, hang on, no, I want to have been I want to have been a noble, but then I had a bit of a faux pas, and so I ran off to join the pirates. So I'm going to split those points, noble and pirate. What these skills are, those numbers are something that you then try and convince the umpire are appropriate for whatever thing you're trying to do. So if you are trying to perform an action, yes, you do add your characteristic bonus in, but if you have points in a career that seem like they could contribute, then they go in. So there is a huge storm, this ship is being overwhelmed, can you take the helm? I'm a pirate, I can probably steer a ship. Fantastic, in you go. It sounds logical. Or someone needs to scale those ropes up the side of that cliff. Well, hang on, I'm a pirate, so I probably am used to going up and down ropes on ships, so do I get a bonus for climbing ropes? Sure, why not? I want to know who I would contact to bribe to get past these particular laws and strictures. Well, were you a noble? Well, all right, well, you can convince the umpire then that you knew a bit of wheeling and dealing and skullduggery, so those points go in. So they've got sample careers and sample characters galore so that you can see these things made, but you can pick and choose for yourself and make a background for the character. Very simply done, but incredibly flexible. Doesn't bog things down into lots of individual skill details. So I think it's a terrific system. Again, if you want to get in and you've got some ideas for Conan style stuff, there is a kingdom that's being overwhelmed by an evil plot from within, go in there and get it. There is an ancient city, there is a terrible curse, there is a treasure along a jungle river, but no one that's gone down the river has ever returned. These are the kind of big idea adventures that work so well with this system that doesn't bog you down in the details. French group did this little one, the Lemurian Chronicles, which goes with Barbarians of Lemuria, and what this does is this puts out a whole bunch of regular play adventures in the setting. They were huge fans of it, so they've done some great adventures that you can just leap in and play. They've put in a bunch of extra monsters and creatures to flesh out some of these new areas. They fleshed out this sort of Khanate area, you've got snowy wastes and you've got ancient kind of Chinese inspired kingdoms. Another thing that the system does really well, because in original Conan and a lot of the sword and sorcery books, battles and ship battles, piracy at sea and all that sort of stuff are a big part of it. Very, very simple rules in there which allow you to do ship versus ship combats, to lead mighty war bands, to general in armies, to be caught up in a battle, makes it part of the play. And I think that's a great bonus for the setting. I think that sort of, it puts the whole war and combat thing, large and small, makes it, again, it uses it simple point value, simple rolls, but you're involved. So take a look, Barbarians of Lemuria. You can explain the system to someone in seconds, but it is very nuanced. It's surprisingly clever, and that skill thing, again, sounds very simple, but you can actually have a lot of fun trying to figure out, so what's the background on your character? Do you want to spread it so there's a few points that you can get in lots of different situations? Do you want a large bonus for specific things? A bit of tactical design to your character going over there, and of course you've got these boons and flaws which allow you to pick extra things. You know, am I sensitive to magic and can sense it? Have I got the ability to, you know, gather my resources and go for it when those around me think I'm fallen? Am I incredibly sharp-eyed? Do I have like reflexes like a jaguar? All these sorts of things are in there. This is a great way of making those slightly hokey but beloved sword and sorcery heroes and playing a game in that sort of setting. So this would be my absolute recommended go-to if you're a sword and sorcery fan and just want to get stuck in there and play. It's quite simple to run for a group of people. No one needs to familiarize themselves with a ton of background or material. And an umpire, look, put half an hour into reading the rules before running, and it's one of those games where you will start taking down notes for cool adventures as you go. It's a really excellent handling of this genre. So this would be my highly recommended buy for you guys. And yeah, go and check it out. DriveThruRPG.com has it, and if you don't want the hardcovers, sure, PDFs, but I recommend you should have this one in your collection. You really should.